Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of season 5. This week it's just myself, and I'm not going to claim there's any strategic plan for that, but the guest that was due on has had a few family issues, so we've just pushed that back a week or two. So rather than just stop, I thought actually now would be a really good time to talk about how your new year has gone. I often find, I don't know how the coaches would feel the same, but that January can be often quite a quiet month for me. In fact, this year it hasn't quite turned out to be that case, but in many years previously, it's been quite quiet. Because my belief is that a lot of people spend some time over Christmas and they use that whole New Year reset to really sort of kick in to that new year, some great ideas that they want to do. Maybe that's stuff for their health, whether it be eating healthily, taking exercise, or other associated things, or perhaps it's things for the business. And when we get to the middle of February, this is where often these things fall down. So I thought today would be a really useful opportunity for me to just share some thoughts, give you some encouragement. And obviously, if you're one of these people listening and you're already smashing your New Year's resolutions and new goals and targets, brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. Doesn't mean there isn't some stuff in here that might be helpful to you. But in the main, this is targeted at those people who are just starting to think, oh no, here we go again. I had all these great plans. I was really enthusiastic. And now we're doing what we do every year. Now, the first thing that's really relevant about this is the timing of it. So there's a lot of science that actually backs up starting that New Year's resolutions are a good idea. That's the start of the month or the start of the year are good times. Psychologically, that works for us. So I'm not going to go into the details of that, but it's not a bad thing. So the first thing is you haven't failed by starting to do things on the new year and then it's not quite worked out and you feel like this is a recurring habitual thing. That isn't what you've done wrong. And in fact, you haven't done anything wrong. You've attempted to start things. What you're probably lacking is a certain number of techniques, skills, and support that you need to make these things form into habits. So what I'm going to assume is that everybody listening to this one isn't getting coached. So I'm going to drop you some ideas and some tools and tricks that might just help you with what you're going to do. So the first thing is a really simple one on paper, but actually it sounds quite difficult. So the first one is to not say, I will try. You are going to do this. And if you don't do the thing that you were intending to do, you didn't try, it didn't happen. So you either do or you do not. Those who follow my social media will know I'll never miss an opportunity to roll out a Yoda a quote. But honestly, there is no try. It's a terrible, toxic word. It doesn't help. And there's other ones as well. I was doing really well, but, or it's posh friend, however. You really have to look at your language and it's positive. And you are looking to say, I am a person who goes to the gym. I do go to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I do cook healthy meals on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I do eat this. I do that. That is it. And if you haven't done it, you haven't done it. And then the second element to this is there is no such thing as failure. There is only feedback. And we can only truly fail when we fail to listen to the feedback that we're being given every time we do fall down or we do stop. So when you start finding out that you're not doing things, perhaps you've signed the gym and you're not going, or you're tending to eat certain meals that you run out of time and you haven't done it, or you haven't bought the stuff you need from the supermarket, that's fine. That is okay. The issue is why. So interrogate that fail. Find out what's happened. What are the contributing factors? What are the stuff's gone on in your day or your week or even your month that have meant you haven't done that? And then let's look at that. Let's look at that and see if we can change it. So we're already looking at our positive language. We're also then not going to beat ourselves up when we fall off the wagon. So you miss a day, so what? So you miss a couple of days, or it's starting to become a problem, and then we think, oh well, that's it. Forgive the language. Oh bollocks, it's happened again. Oh well, I just can't do that, or that's just not me, or I'm not that person, or we're back into the horrible negative language again. So listen to the feedback life gives you when you don't succeed. It's just as important to listen to the feedback life gives you when you do, but it's really, really important to listen to those failures. So that's the second thing. The third, start consuming some positive content. So for me, anybody who hasn't started or read this book or listened to it is now on Audible. The Slight Edge, you're missing a trick. You're absolutely missing a trick. Is it the world's best written book? No. But is the core ethos of the book really, really valuable? Absolutely. Are there some chapters that it doesn't need? Potentially. But does it reinforce the points that it's looking to make? Yes. Anybody who criticizes a book like The Slight Edge, we're probably looking and finding that they do worry about the failure and they don't use the positive language, and they're one of these people who I can't do this or I won't do that. Brilliant. Ignore them. Those people who don't have anything good to say about The Slight Edge, unless they're absolutely smashing it out of the park, ignore them. All right. They are just, I don't know, threatened by it. And then there's a really nice bedfellow to that book. So I would like to encourage people to have a stock of books that they read this year. The second one would be Atomic Habits by James Clear. Really good next read or listen to go into. And then there's a few after that, but let's see. Let's not run too fast. If you can get through The Slight Edge and Atomic Habits, and let's say you read a chapter a day, and that's what I'm going to ask people to do, read a chapter or listen to a chapter a day, then suddenly The Slight Edge will be read in probably 18 to 20 days. And Atomic Habits, I can't remember how many chapters in it, but something similar. So within a couple of months, you'll have read some amazing content. And then what I would discourage you from doing is reading more and more books. I would ask you to maybe revisit those books and see how they land, alternate them, and just keep consuming this positive content. Okay, so there's 3 really easy things straight away that are going to make a difference. Check your language, make sure it's positive. Do not concern yourself with failure, concern yourself with the feedback that's given, and start consuming some positive content. Now, one of the things that will come out of reading The Slight Edge is we then realize that what we need to do is break everything down into really small bite-sized chunks. So if your goals are quite heady, if they're quite large, if they're quite impressive, there's many, many actions that are going to be necessary before you reach the end of that, before you gain success, perhaps before you even notice any traction. So in the world of health and fitness, it takes a long time to start seeing those benefits. But when you start seeing them, the improvements start to ramp up quite quickly. Now, that will be different for every individual. So again, don't be looking at other people and judging yourself by them. It is all on you. And as long as you do these small steps, which will become very clear if you've listened to or read The Slight Edge, you will be heading in the right direction. And the final point, the sort of, I suppose this is turning into a top 5 tips for making sure the new year doesn't fall away. The final one is looking at your goals. Now, there is the book that covers this. So a guy called Sir John Whitmore is who I've always looked to when it comes to the GROW model. There is a book called Coaching for Performance. It's a cool book. It's a bit more of a hard read than the others. I wouldn't necessarily recommend the whole book for everybody, but you're more than welcome to. But obviously within that book, or not obviously, but in that book, there is a section on the GROW model. And the GROW model is an acronym, and it stands for goal, reality, opportunity, or obstacle. I like to sort of talk about a few O's in there, and the W stands for will. And it's basically most people don't really know how to set up a goal. And so therefore we need to look at what we think the goal is. And then the R is about what's the reality of the situation. How realistic is it to have this goal? Then what are the opportunities to help us get to that goal? What are the obstacles that are getting in the way of that goal? But most importantly, very much linked to all the stuff that I previously talked about, what will you do? Okay, and that's really important. Now, a lot of people will think that their goal is to have a nice house. Now, spoiler alert, that's not a goal. To have the nice house, that's just an asset, and that might be as a result of good performance or earning well or successful business or what have you, but that's not a goal. That's not real. That is just a financial reward. But what happens if you get that house and you're not happy? in the environment that you're in, or you find that the house isn't the thing you were looking for and it hasn't made you happy. And it's the same with like a nice car, things like this. What we're looking at when we're talking about the nice house is a place that is a home. And the home maybe needs to have a certain number of rooms to be able to do a certain number of things, certain activities, hobbies, entertain people, have friends, grow a family, start a family, have a dog, have a cat, have all these things, but also to be a place that feels safe, to be a place that is comfortable. Now, to achieve a true home that we want, there might be a financial element to it. So we might need to earn. So we need to look at the reality of that. We need to look at the opportunities and the obstacles of that. We might need to furnish it in a certain way. We might need to have a partner that we don't have at the moment. We might need to have the kids that we don't have at the moment. There are a whole number of actions that actually link to that goal. So when we say our goal is we want to have a nice house, it's a hell of a lot more than that. It's a lot more complicated. So part of what can sometimes be the problem is the goals we have are quite high, and we've not broken them down. So when we get to say 6 or so weeks into a year in the middle of February, we feel like we're not on target. But that's because the goal is huge and the actions needed step by step are many, potentially hundreds or even thousands of actions, then we don't feel like we're achieving. But when we've broken that goal down into small bite-sized chunks, then suddenly we can start ticking them off. We can realize what's happening. We can build momentum. We can see the changes. And if we're doing health and fitness, we will literally physically see and mentally feel those changes. So I hope that whilst this is an impromptu episode, this might just be the motivation some people need to keep on track or to get back on that horse, and to remind themselves that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if things aren't going well. What are you going to do about it? That's happened. The bad stuff's happened, or the failures have happened. So how do we get you back on that horse, on that line, on that path quickly? Well, we make a start. We make small, bite-sized daily actions. We use positive language. We check on our goals. We read positive content, and we keep going. So I hope that's been a really useful episode. Well, to be honest, I'm going to be an ego trip here. I know that's been a really useful episode. It's about what you do with it. I mean, right there, you have had the core workings of all the coaching I do with all of my clients. That's what we go through. Now we go through it over a sustained period of time, and they have my support. But the core principles of what I do in my coaching, especially in those early first sort of 3, 4, 5 sessions, that's what we focus on. So it is helpful. It will do what you need it to do. And if you've got any questions, as I said, anybody who ever listens to one of these episodes and has questions, I am always happy to chat. So do not hesitate to contact me. The details will be available on whatever platform you are watching or listening on. My website, though, is www.hillcoachingcompany.co.uk, and you can certainly find everything you need there and contact me through it. So I hope that has been useful to you. As I said, I know it is useful, but I hope it has been useful to you. And I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. The one after this will be one with myself and Stephen, and then the guest should be back for the next episode. So in a couple of weeks, we should have another person sharing their insights in their specialism, and then some insights into some challenges they have in their life. So I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye.